When we talk about poverty in terms of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, it is not an extraordinary poverty. Rather, it is a poverty of a people who did not have reserves. People who, like so many people today, were one major crisis away from catastrophe. On a daily basis, like the fishermen and shepherds and so many of the others who populate the New Testament stories, they were getting by, and they would go on getting by until or unless crisis struck. The male head of household suffered disabling injury or disease or death, or the father and husband decided to leave the family for another woman. The mother and wife died in childbirth, and there was no one to care for younger siblings. The family home was lost to a fire or flood, and the family could be broken up and lose everything. But as with many families today who face similar lives, it was best not to think of these things and to stay close to extended family so that if crisis did strike, they could pull together and find a way forward. So despite many of the pious stories we have heard throughout our lives, the lives of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph were in many ways not all that different from those of the people around them. And this lack of uniqueness is reinforced in the story of the Nativity that we recount today. While very few, if any of us, had our births heralded by angels, the notion of the baby Jesus being found wrapped in swaddling cloth and laid in a manger is not uncommon. When my grandparents were preparing to leave Oakland, California, to head back to Ohio after my grandfather left the Navy and my mother was born, they laid her in a dresser drawer. And throughout time and space, many a baby has been laid in a similar convenient bed, especially when their parents are in transit, not because they were poor or unloving, but because the baby came in the midst of change. And this is the miracle of Christmas. Our God, the Most High, the Word made flesh, Emmanuel, came into our world not under some extraordinary circumstances with comfort, convenience, safety, and everything planned, but with all the sloppiness, bad timing, danger, and pain that all of us were born into. Jesus, from the beginning, came into our world to be fully human and experience all the pain, suffering, confusion, and chaos that comes with being human. Jesus came into our world in a place and a time with war and violence, a constant murmur on the horizon, an accident or disease away from catastrophe, as a child living in ordinary poverty. Emmanuel, our God with us, is truly with us. As that child in that Bethlehem manger, as a carpenter's son in Galilee, trying to make his way in the world, as a political prisoner in Jerusalem, executed on a cross, and in each and every one of our lives over the past 2,000 years that have separated us from those ancient events. And in that eternal presence in our lives is the hope that Jesus, our Emmanuel, brings. Hope of a time to come when all that has been promised will be fulfilled, but also a hope in the here and now that no matter what we suffer in this life, we are not alone. We are never alone. Jesus is there with us and has seen similar suffering in his own life. Amen.